All right. Would you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah, so that.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Yeah, total.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, tonight. Oh, exciting. All right. So with that, we do have a quick Board of Assessors meeting. Woo, feedback. Little feedback there. I'll open the Damariscotta, Town of Damariscotta Board of Assessors meeting of November 1st. Bring that to order. We do not have minutes right now on that, so we'll table the minutes of the October 18th. And we have a couple of abatements. Everybody get a chance to take a peek at those. Any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the abatements as requested. Account 860 PP, Camden National Bank, and account number 795 PP, Michael Sprague State Farm Insurance.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Do I have a second?
Second.
Tom seconds. Any discussion?
Just that working with our assessor's agent suggested that I looked at a copy of the letter, the one for the bank, they'd actually submitted it on time, but they sent it to an old assessor's address, email address. And so I think we need to just keep an eye on that for the next time those go out and just make sure it's clear the contact information. All it was at the top of the letterhead, it just had our address for this property. But it didn't, any questions, contact them, but it didn't have like a please send to clearly stated. So it got lost there. So unfortunately, this will be one that we basically committed all of that to be assessed, and 50% of it will be covered by the state through the Betty program. And the other 50% we have to kind of eat, but
yeah.
Try and make that more obvious next time.
Okay. Thank you, Andy. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries. Any other reports or anything? We're open for the assessors.
No, any questions or things for them?
Anybody? We're good.
They did just send out the state valuation report as it was due by November 1st. So that went in. They usually come back with those, I think, early winter with a draft report. And that's where they came to us, I think, last February and talked about how it was off by a certain percent.
Yeah.
Give them an idea of what they might do for the following tax year in terms of values. And so they'll have a similar, when that comes back, we'll talk with Rob and see what they're thinking for next year for base value evaluations.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Andy. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the assessors.
Thank you. I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. Board of Assessors meeting is adjourned. All right. We will call the Damariscotta Select Board meeting to order November 1st. And again, we do not have minutes for October 18th. So let's table those. We have a couple of financial reports. Everybody get a chance to take a peek at them? I'm just going to say,
I don't think they made it down there.
They didn't make it down there yet, did they? Sorry, guys. Yeah, we got started here, and all right. But you got a chance to take a peek at them. So
I'm all good.
So all right.
I'm going to move payroll warrant. It's number 19.
Thank you, Josh.
I'll second.
Tom's going to second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? All right. And Dan's going to
submit it on this.
Yeah, there. Yeah. We'll give you a minute on that one. So
yeah.
So we had 4 on payroll warrant 19, and I think we had Dan, you're going to abstain, right?
Yeah, until I
just haven't looked at it. Yeah. We got hustling through stuff here, so we'll,
if he's still with it, you can vote on it.
yeah, we can make a motion on anyway. If
I'll make a motion to
on
approve accounts payable warrant 20.
Okay. I was gonna make a motion on that. Andrea seconds. Thank you, Andrea. Any discussion?
Was that looking quickly, the Hagar related to the Hodgson Street?
On this warrant, that is related to the final lump sum or base bid payment for Belvedere and Egypt road contract.
Okay.
And it include all the change orders, but that's the bid price we had.
That was that was a retainage, right?
Yes.
We had. And any other discussion on that one? We're ready to call for a vote. Are you guys good?
I'm going to abstain.
All right. All those in favor? All right. We've got 4. Tom will abstain. So yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. Do we have any citizens comments or anything, Andy? Anything come in? Snail mail or?
Nothing to bring here, no.
I don't see anybody coming in on the big screen there, so, and you guys are here for one of the items, right? So we'll wait. Yeah, okay. We'll go down through, so. All right, we'll move right along. Town manager report.
Great.
What do you got good to say, Andy?
Hodgson Street has a base coat of asphalt on it as of about 1:00, 1:30 today.
Awesome.
Crews pulled out of there onto their next site. They'll come back through and deal with curb sets and basin, catch basin covers and lifting those where they need to be to get ready for the final coat. Another 2 inches of surface will go down. There's some grading to do off on the side of the road as you get across from that lower Blue Haven Drive. For those that walk it frequently, if you didn't go on it yet today, right where that lower Blue Haven Drive is, they actually were able to regrade and kind of tip that down a little bit because it was kind of an abrupt drop there.
Oh, sure.
So they kind of regraded that slope going down that curve through that hill there.
It looked better this morning.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
some of the properties on the other side of the road have a kind of an abrupt, so
Yeah.
that's not finished, so it's going to be transitioned in and graded out and seeded or transitioned into a driveway entrance. So I know when we saw it today on site, we were a little called in and just verified the elevations on those, and so it was just a matter of seeing it on paper and then seeing it in, as it's being constructed.
Yeah.
It's just oh, okay. So those will all be worked still. We don't have a date right now for final work or final surface course on that, but we'll watch the temperatures on that and make sure that works. So any questions on that project? I know there was an email that came in over the weekend and a request to meet with the board, although it was Dan and Andrea, and I don't know if it was meant to go to all the board.
It was just two of us.
But had talked with that individual in my office Monday morning and went over the plans, and she'd also talked to the foreman on the job and I think got most of her questions at least answered, and so just wait for it to see how it comes out. And I mean, the biggest change there is going to be that it's the widening to 18-foot travel ways. Still intended that shared street concept that the board had gone in that direction of. So there'll be 3 foot on each side of be a different marking, and we got some signs to put up for it, but a 12-foot wide travel way down the center of the road, and then 3 feet on either side of that. And there'll be a dashed yellow line delineating those. And so the idea is that bicyclists or pedestrians can be on the sides there. 2 cars can pass. They'll have to yield to pedestrians and cyclists like they do now. But it's not a one-way road, and the weird part will be after 460 feet, it goes back to the 12-foot wide surface. And so, the next phase of that, whenever we do that, we can at least
remind everybody, the primary goal was the drainage was
right.
terrible. So that's what, this is,
Yep.
this is all for drainage.
Right.
and
Yeah,
making the
there's-
road work. So, yeah.
There's probably 600 feet of pipe laid now,
Yeah.
4 new catch basins. So
Wow.
It's gonna be nice not
Hopefully-
having all that ice there.
hopefully that works.
Awesome.
Generally for public works, just trying to get ready for some of the winter activity. Trucks going through some maintenance right now. It's scheduled to go to on the road for some work with the tailgate Friday this week, and then Friday next week, because it's a holiday. We're going to send it to Dennis Hoppies, and he's going to work on the blower motor for the fan, because both the AC and heat now are not really working. So he's figured he
Important
needs
to
it for
have.
about 2 days to get in there and rip apart the dash and get in there where he needs to get to. And so try to minimize where we don't have it and have that one day being a holiday. So the floats I put in there for the 27th. The week of Thanksgiving, the tides don't line up right for us to do it unless we come in at 2 or 3 a.m. So it might be the week before, depending on personnel and availability. But I got to check in with the harbor master.
The
on that.
Aquacoaster people or somebody else does that?
Usually check with the harbor master and just see what his thoughts are. There's not a lot of boats tied up there right now as of today anyways.
So is that grant from the float grant related to that property as well?
Those,
No,
yeah, it'd be
okay.
those floats, yeah.
So they'll be replaced. Is there?
Some of them this year next year some of them will be replaced. So the ones that have failing hardware, we went through it last year. Every year you have to go through and inspect the hardware, and I think they're 12 or almost 15 years old now. So some of that hardware has been fully replaced. And so the boat float grant, which we'll talk about later, that's how we got them to begin with. So it's a program the state has. So yeah, we go through it, pull them out, stage them in the park, and then come down with a trailer and stack them and take them back to the yard. And so this year we'll get to pick apart the ones that are the worst and set them aside and not have to worry about
Yeah, pull them out. That's great.
them.
We've done well for 15 years old.
On Back Meadow Road, the area where we had that culvert beaver activity, it's in that low spot. You go past the cemetery and get into the opening, that first opening. Last year, every day, at least once a day, the crew was over there, or I was over there pulling that grate and clearing the debris. The beaver keep building in front of it. So we did trap a few last fall and this past spring, and that seems to have for now taken care of the ones that were there. There'll be more eventually. The beaver, the den's still in the back there, but there was a beaver deceiver.
What's that?
They built one. There's two now in town. They built one two on Biskie Road. There's one
Before Headgate,
before Headgate,
by Muddy Pond.
and the other one.
Call it Muddy, some other people call it Paradise.
So it's a way the beavers try and control the flow of the water, right? And so they create this mechanism that kind of tricks them a little bit, and so they're able to try and stop the water over here, but it allows the water to still flow through your culvert as opposed to blocking the culvert. And so it's something is it Keel? I forget the guy's name.
Get that at the hardware store.
No, it's something you build. I think that, a lot of times they'll use kind of coated wire and rods or stakes to kind of keep it in place. And then no two are the same necessarily, so they're kind of designed for the area. So they were going to come. It's a partnership with the Coastal River Conservation Trust. They were working with neighboring towns and towns in the area that were interested in doing this. Instead of removing the beavers from the area, trying to allow them to stay but not impact our roads, and so they were willing to pay for half the cost. Quickly signed up after we dealt with it last year as much as we were dealing with it, and they were going to come at the end of September. So I got to find out what that looks like. It wasn't going to be anything on us other than to help pay the cost of it. But I think after dealing with that, cleaning all that out on that regular basis, and it was hour and a half a day just going out there dealing with it. We actually had Hager, while they were doing work on Egypt Road, where they had equipment coming through, stop and actually clean out a lot of, because they were damming up the other side.
Oh, yeah.
And so the water level in the pipe was probably 3/4 full. And so come wintertime, if that freezes, it just creates issues. And so they actually cleared that, buildup of material on that side too, and had a full truckload.
Yeah.
So they were pretty busy last year.
Smart, man. They turned them on one side and they went out and built that dam and berm way out in the water on the other side. Really smart.
Shellfish Conservation Ordinance and the committee, they have a meeting coming up. One of the things they have to look at is a shellfish management plan. I think they need to update that based on what the state guidance is. So we'll have that on their agenda. There's another mini grant with the DMR, I think related to water quality testing. So that'll be something that they're going to consider if they're expecting that program to open up, I think in February. They're using last year's grant notice as a template for what might be funded this year. So if anyone's interested in that, feel free to attend. Signed a contract for the to lock in energy rates. Only 4 of our 9 accounts were actually in a contract. The other ones had run out in 2019. The reality is we have to buy everything the solar project produces, unfortunately at a higher rate than this, but if it's not producing what we consume in that period, that billing period, then these are the rates we would fall to. The standard rate, I tried to put in there what that looked like if for those that weren't on contract. So currently on the last bill, it was 17 cents, almost 17.6 cents.
Right.
And then the 12-month average over the last year was just over 17 cents. So we locked in for 3 years at just under 11 cents.
Yeah, that's great.
Nice.
So that'll be helpful. This building was one of them, and I think the last monthly bill for this building was like $500. Probably 1/5 of that, or 2/5 of that, is fixed, just being the type of account that it is and having the service here. But all the rest of it was just almost double the rate we locked in at. So that's good. Just a list of some of the upcoming meetings. A lot going on. The only one I want to flag is for your next meeting, I tossed out the idea of having a joint budget board meeting, just quick to establish town meeting. How do you want to vote on the warrant articles related to the budget? Talk quickly about whether there's a concern with us going into it and building your budgets. If there's a target for an increase or request for a hold or a decrease, but just so that the departments know as they're building their budgets, is there a goalpost to aim for there? And anything else that might come up that help us set the stage for this year's budget.
So they're gonna
Yeah,
meet with
fair
us
enough.
next time.
That's the kind of my request. I don't know if you
Okay.
want to, if that's something that you're okay with, and if you want to do that at 5 or still
Yeah, we
at
should-
5:30.
Yeah, is everybody okay with moving it to 5, having them
Mhm.
start a little early?
Mhm.
Does that work?
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah, yeah, I know, it's a maybe, sometimes you know the day before, but we,
Who I talked to.
yeah. Yeah, we'll plan on, doing that, open that meeting at 5 and then try to keep on track for 5:30, so.
Great.
Yeah. Sounds good, Andy.
Any other questions on any of those other meetings that are there?
Yeah, just curious about that. It's the MCOG, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Is that something that,
should we be going to that?
So Mid-Coast Council of Government,
MCOG.
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 They have an annual meeting, so I'm our rep. Lou was our alternate rep, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah.
So I don't remember if we reappointed someone else to that or not. I go pretty
the
regularly.
agenda looks really interesting, so.
Yeah, so they tried this. There's a relatively new executive director. I think this is a second year with the organization. They, I think we mentioned before, went from a economic development district to a COG, and trying to model like what they see in Androscoggin County or KV COG, or the big one that everyone likes to see is GP COG. So they're doing a lot, and they can jump on group purchases and try and get better prices for us as members. But yeah, Matthew Eddy's trying to bring in a lot more. He's probably doubled the staff size, which has raised the budget, but they're bringing in more grant money and expanding their membership base. So haven't seen huge fluctuations in the rates for us. But I think it's great if you can attend. Please do.
So
There's
we
an
should-
option, I think, for hybrid if you want to join remote, or I believe,
I saw we could go online and register,
right.
so we should do that if we want to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're interested, up in Thomaston, or you can do it remote.
So while we're on that, goes, I think you made a good point. I don't think we ever appointed anybody for rep. So is there anybody, I heard some interest on either side of me here. So if anybody wants to be appointed as an alternate, because Andy is the,
Yeah,
Legal
I'm
one,
happy
but-
to do it
but
if
if you
you
wanna-
but if Andrea, that's fine.
Yeah.
too. Either way, it's fine.
Doesn't matter, I mean, as long as one of us do it, does
Yeah,
does
yeah.
it, Dan?
I'll make a motion to, appoint Dan as our alternate to the MCOG. Move Andy, how's that sound?
I'll second.
Yeah, you want to?
Yeah, no,
Yeah, oh, great. Josh seconds, any discussion? All those in favor? Right? Yeah.
That's all I
Somebody,
have.
we won't put it all on Andy all the time. Yeah. It doesn't mean you don't have to go now, that's.
Oh, I enjoy it. They're doing great work.
Yeah.
I was on their executive board when I was in Vinyl Haven, and to see them kind of go from just the economic development aspect of it. In Lincoln County, it's a little more unique, where you have a regional planning commission through the county,
yeah.
and finding ways to work together or not just in parallel, but to complement each other here. And then in the counties that don't have it, Waldo, SAG, Knox, they are serving as that regional planning commission too. So.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Dan, for doing that.
Sure.
You can still go, Andrew.
Oh, I'm still going.
All right. Okay. Did we want to, while we're going through the meeting schedule, Tom, did you want to touch base a little bit on the one on the
Sure.
21st? And we
Yeah.
can either wait till discussion items or while it's in the
I
meeting in advance, so it might be the right time to do
I
it.
sent
Yeah.
you a blind copy, but I sent out to some of the key players that would probably be involved in speaking or responding to questions today, get their feedback on the agenda so that if there are any sensitivities, get that out of the way before the agenda. So
This is
wait-
just to clarify, this is in reference to the aquaculture community
Right.
river meeting on the 21st at Coastal Rivers. Tom, Tom's been working very hard and getting a lot of people involved and starting a community discussion over the life of the river and yeah. So it's
Seems to
gonna
be a lot of
interesting.
interest.
Yeah.
All the
Yep.
Waldoboro and South Bristol is sending and Newcastle is sending their boards. And we've got the two state representatives for Lincoln County coming, and Abden Simmons for Waldoboro is coming. We have harbor masters, we've got the aquaculture people, we've got scientists coming, we've got a whole bunch of people. So it should be good.
Nice.
There's a lot of
Yep.
interest.
It's great.
Good. Awesome. Thank you, Tom. If that's all for manager's reports, we can move into some official action items. So you guys are here for, I think, number 2 on the agenda, right, on that, for the, so we'll move you up and have you, we'll get moving. We won't wait till we go through all the fun stuff. Make you wait, so. Yeah, let's get, so, if it's okay with the board, I'd like to move up, number 2, official action items. I think that's on page 9.
Starts on page 9. I
Starts on page
duplicated
9
my
of the
memo
packet.
to you.
No, I have a cheat sheet, so we'll have to go on page 9. So, and this is for the CLC YMCA grant funding. Do you guys want to come up and put you in front of the? I was like, oh, microphone again. So just gonna make you introduce yourself for all the listeners at home.
All right. Casey Clark Kelly, CEO of the Central Lincoln County YMCA.
And Tor Glendenning, I am the architect working with the YMCA. So
Thank you, guys. Yeah. If you can you brief us a little bit about the?
Sure, yes. So
Yeah.
the Y is currently exploring the possibility of swapping our Nobleboro childcare facility with the American Legion building that is directly in front of the YMCA campus in Damariscotta.
Mhm.
We would be utilizing the HUD federal funding that we received from the earmark funding for $1 million for the project. And with that project, there's a lot of very specific steps that you need to take. And one of those is to have the property that we'll be utilizing undergo an environmental review process, and that needs to be approved in order for us to move forward with the project at all. Because it's federal funding, it needs to be facilitated through a government entity where the property is, which leaves us with the town of Damariscotta needing to handle the RFP for the environmental reviewer and contracting for the services.
Simple enough. Yeah.
Quite a bit of
My
questions?
my question is to Andy.
Yeah.
Like, is this so, I mean, this is something that you're comfortable with, because it seems like it's a big responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of getting an RFP out, they've already drafted it. I think I put a copy of it in the
Yep.
packet there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Along with the draft agreement between us and them. So I mean, what it's obligating us to, as it's written, is for us to put out that draft RFP with, potential modifications. I did fill some tentative dates in there. With the thought that we would. It's in line with what we had talked about a couple weeks ago. So if approved, and if there's no changes to the RFP, we could get that out by next week, November 8th, for advertising. I had figured about a month for folks to be able to review and submit. So I had December 11th as a tentative deadline. My thought was that perhaps, I don't know if we want the Public Works Committee to review bids and have staff, your folks come into that meeting. I mean, how you've looked at it in the past with bids, I've done a few construction bids, and you do have the Public Works Committee. So is that something you just want the Select Board to review? Do you want the Public Works Committee to review it ahead of the Select Board meeting? When I looked at the 11th, I just figured that's about a month that if we want to, we could have it go through the Public Works Committee and include them in that process to make sure it's someone they're comfortable working with too. And then have a recommendation for the board at the meeting on the 20th. And then you'd be able to execute. So it's really just facilitating that process of finding an engineer or someone to put this together for them, this review together for them. A lot of the work you've already actually got for them. And so it should be a pretty simple review for them. It's just filling all the boxes in for the permits required. But
Andy, are you, is the board familiar with what the scope of the project is?
Yeah, we got.
May just, maybe the general public would like to know. I mean, it sounds, when you talk about an environmental impact study, it sounds kind of scary, but I think, I think the basis of it is, maybe just to describe the project, if you allow me to.
Sure.
Yeah, please do. Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead.
so,
Yeah.
the VFW hall, is, being looked at by the CLC, and they want to convert that to their childcare facility. It includes leaving the existing building, and the site pretty much as it is, and then putting a couple additions onto it, doing renovation, and updating facilities, electric, plumbing, all the facilities to it. And then probably recladding it. So it's basically a renovation with about 1,000 square feet of addition to the building. So it's not a huge project. It's mostly renovation. Most of it's 80% of it's inside the existing shell. So there's not a lot of I guess impact to the environment other than really I think looking at whatever a firm would look at for this. So
Yeah.
just to explain it a little bit.
In a parking lot right there. So
Exactly. Yeah. So we're not the CLC is not looking at like moving this into a wetlands. That's
right. It's not sitting in a swamp. It's,
It's
it's pretty.
Alternatives are a big part of the review. Is like, did they consider alternatives that are less impactful than the one they're looking to do? And so you have already actually done a lot of that.
Yeah, this has been
They
a
could share
3-year
that with
process.
so I say it's a little, I'll say it's easy, but it's a little, takes a little bit off because they've already done a lot of that legwork in analyzing other sites.
Sure.
And so it's just kind of making sure that it satisfies the
I think it's
funder.
it's great because it's repurpose, reuse.
Yeah, I mean, it's
a
right
low-impact
there.
really. It's
Right.
It's like an extension of the property. I mean, it's, we're better.
So I kind of see this as similar to what the town's doing with Dujardin. Right. And Shepherd, kind of being the fiscal sponsor, if you will, for that grant for that business. And Max they've submitted 2 drawdowns so far. We're still working on getting it set up so we can get with the state. We did issue the 1 check. And then the paperwork's into the state. Just been playing that game with them to try and get all that set up. So we'll submit 2 to the state and 1. We'll get the next check once we get it submitted to the state, but it's similar to that, and kind of being able to work with a nonprofit in this case, or a business. That's something you're comfortable with us doing, and I think it's from what they've presented us seems pretty.
Yeah,
good
sounds
to
like
be
everybody's
able to
done their
go
homework
forward.
and whatnot. So, and it seems pretty cut and dry as far as where it is. So, any other questions from the board? I'll get everybody up here. No, good. All right, I'll make a motion. I'll take that motion to authorize the town manager to sign and execute the MOU as presented and to post an RFP for professional services for the CLC YMCA. Good enough?
Yep.
All right. A second?
I'll second.
Andrew seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right,
Thank you.
do it. We've got plenty more happening here, so it's exciting stuff, right, Tor? You want to hang around for another town's meeting? Go on. I'll gavel you out. Yeah, thank you, guys. Yeah, and please keep us in the loop. We like to, yeah, thank you. All right, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's very simple. Let's go up to the parking lot in front of them and Yep.
That's.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever they're doing has to be better than what's there.
Yeah, that's good for them. So, all right, we'll get back on track. So let's get back to official action items. We have some budget committee appointments. If you look at page 8 in the packet,
Mhm.
here we go.
So we have 3 vacancies currently, not counting the 2 alternate seats.
Okay.
Perhaps something in the future you want to consider in of itself, but for the full term seats, mid-year, I think you all probably know that the board would appoint, because these are elected positions nominated by the board and elected at town meeting through warrant. If a vacancy occurs mid-year, the board just appoints to be filled for the duration of that year. So we've got actually the way it worked out, the 3 vacancies are each in different years. So doesn't matter for the appointment now, but we do have 3 people that are interested in serving in the, those 3 vacant seats for this year and potentially longer. So Lou Abatoni, Ron Heiser, and Mary Devlin have all said they'd be interested and willing to serve this year. If you're willing to.
I'll make that a motion to appoint all those 3 individuals.
Thank you, Josh. Tom seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Are you putting in the order? Like the first one is Ron Heiser, the next one's Lou, and then the next one's Mary?
I can, like I said, it doesn't really particularly matter
Doesn't matter.
because there'll be, so next year on the warrant, there'll be 1 term.
Oh,
Oh, it's worth.
So
Wow.
this is exciting. Exciting. We're gonna stop the meeting for a minute. We forgot that the town clock
It's a
is
little late though. Cocktails
back
at 5,
and back together and that's fun.
It's
So
on time.
we should have invited Matt to come out and listen to.
It arrived today.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming.
Here we go.
Uh,
Warned me too. It's a 6. I wasn't even paying attention. All right. Back on track.
So you'll have one year, 1 2-year, and 1 3-year term on the warrant next year. And they can, amongst them maybe decide who wants to be on a 1, 2, or 3.
So that goes
can
on,
figure that out.
that goes in the June
Yep.
meeting.
Mhm.
Okay, not this coming, not next week, not whatever.
No, it'll be at our annual town meeting.
Town meeting,
Yep.
not.
Yeah, June meeting. All right. That's easy enough. Thank you. So let's discuss main boat float grant. I think it starts on page 23. If I got it right?
Yes.
Look at that.
This was exciting.
So the floats downtown at the parking lot, my understanding is were acquired about 12 or 15 years ago through a boat main grant
Same
program.
grant system. Yeah.
And touched base with them last year when we had to replace some hardware, and they were kind enough to bring some brackets up for us because ours were pretty well rusted out on some of these floats. And so I think the crew probably spent 20 or 30 hours last year just kind of going through them all. I mean, cleaning's part of it, but stripping the old hardware, putting some new stuff on there, so they were good for use this year. And so put in for the grant. They suggested we do that before this July 15th or whatever it was. So what they've done is they're willing to award and just need to sign and send back. They would give us 10 6x16 floats in the spring, plus 1 6x10, which is that corner piece to make that F. And then next year we'd reapply. I confirm if we reapply. It doesn't necessarily say we have to, but confirm with them about that one. But then they would look to build the other 4, which are the 2 F for fingers that go off. So we'd be able to salvage 4 floats, from what we have to put on in the meantime, but for next season.
Great.
Yeah.
But
this
figured I'd
is-
bring it to you before I sign. There's no additional new commitments that we aren't already obligated to. There's no cost for us other than potentially having to go get them, but we have a trailer we can go get them on.
We don't want the floats to sink.
No.
Who builds the floats for them? Do you know they?
Yeah,
Staff?
they
Okay.
have a staff or a crew available to
Yeah.
build these.
Oh, cool. Okay.
There's
Yeah.
quite a few from the
Mhm.
state that they help put out. So
Yeah, that's what I mean. I didn't know if they were sourcing them, but if they were
Yeah.
built in state and stuff, now that's cool. Well,
I forget where the facility is. But yeah, they build them.
yeah. And it does speak to something. I mean, the ones that we've had have held up for, it's a long time for
Something
for
being in the
use.
water so much.
Yeah, the water and pulled out and stored. Yeah. that's
Our
pretty cool.
crew's done a good job of
Mm.
keeping up with them and
Mhm.
taking care of them.
Yeah, yeah. Keep them painted, routine maintenance and whatnot. So yeah, it shows they do last. So awesome.
I think we'll figure out how we dispose of the old ones. I mean, they might not be totally done. If someone had a lower impact use for them, that, however we dispose them, we can take them back to the site, to the state if we want. I was gonna reach out to the coastal rivers and see if they had a
Yeah.
need for them anywhere potentially and
Yeah.
wanted them. They've got a crew that can work on them if they desire, but
Oh,
we'll deal with that
good.
next spring.
Yep. You need a motion to pursue the grant? Are you?
I think just for good measure. I mean, I brought it up back when I submitted, so I was doing before I signed it. If you just wanted a motion in case something comes up in question, you can, if you want a motion.
I'll make a motion, Andy, to pursue the main boat float grant, main boat float grant as presented. Let the town manager pursue this and sign as needed and all that fun stuff. Do I have a second? I think Dan, somebody down this end, Dan, you seconded it. All those in favor? All right, proceed. Very good. So a couple more things on the agenda here. We have a technology reserve allocation.
Yes, so the server, we had talked about that in the budget last year. We had a ballpark price for that, and so we finally at a point where the hardware and everything is actually available now. I guess it's had a hard time finding some of the components that he needed to build this. So just got this Monday, this came in late last week. And just said I'd wait for the meeting. But the price there is just under 12,000.
Okay.
There is a possibility with Trio, our municipal software vendor. They want us to sign a $1,000 contract with them to do data migration, but been working with our IT folks and they'll be migrating everything anyway. So in the chance that we may have to pay that, I'm just recommending that we authorize up to $13,000, but we're going to attempt to do it without them. So if they run into an issue and call them, they may or may not charge us at that point the full price, but they don't need to do the full migration. Our IT folks will be doing it as part of their price and everything else they migrate. So I'd also come with a request or a consideration to waive the bid procedure. I mean, we buy our computers through the IT staff, the consultant. Don't know how you feel about that, and not wanting to delay it too much, but feel they've given us fair prices on most things. They're not there to, haven't appeared to
Yeah.
gouge us on
So if
anything.
you're comfortable with the services and
well, if
the
you had
pricing, yeah.
Somebody you have
So,
experience with, makes sense to
Yeah.
go back.
It's not ideal to bring in another entity
Right.
to build it if our IT staff need to be the one to get into it and we'll fix it or work on it.
It doesn't
So,
make a lot of sense. That
Yeah.
typically costs more.
right.
And we already had money put aside for this.
We did.
We already did,
Mhm.
so, yeah. Yeah, so. Andrew's looking for a motion. You want to take that one or? I got it,
Oh,
unless you got it. Andrew, you want it?
I will
Yeah.
make a motion to approve the technology reserve server replacement.
Waive
To waive
the bid.
And waive the bid.
Waive the bid.
Second.
Tom seconds. Any discussion? Those in favor?
And to the technology reserve server replacement
Up to.
to
$13,000.
$13,000 and to waive the
Bid requirement.
Bid requirements. Yeah. There you go. That'll work. All right. And last, but I think this is last, right? Is this the last one? You sure? Sure, I didn't see something else in there. Got it. So financial audit services contracts.
So we've been waiting a little bit on this. We're good through fiscal year 24, or sorry, 23. Now that we're in 24, we'd like to get someone on board so that we don't have delays. And usually we start the engagement process late summer with them and have someone on to be able to share that information with along the way. The delay was trying to see if another auditing firm was interested in taking on us as a client. But that in reaching out to them multiple times, that is not something that are capable of doing at this time. The amount of municipal auditors keeps dwindling. Cheryl had gone to a training just last week, and there are quite a few towns that are still waiting for 2022 fiscal year, including some of our neighbors.
Wow.
All right,
Um,
let's get it done.
So this is, as I said in here, an increase from the $7,000. That was a 5-year lot. It was a 3-year contract with 2 additional years on it. They maintain that same $7,000 price to that 5-year period. And if we know what inflation's done in that same time frame, to only go up to 10,000. The number Cheryl kept hearing was a lot higher than that. They're familiar with us. So it'd be a similar request in the bid waiver, because it's over that $5,000 threshold, where we start to need extra quotes. So if that's something you're comfortable doing and locking in the next 3 years, we can do that. This is the same price for 2 years or 1 year annually. But if we want to lock in 3 years out at that price with this firm, we can do that.
I think we probably should.
I would recommend at least 2. And we can try again with the other firm if we'd like.
Well, the way prices go up.
So the Maine Municipal Association doesn't like have a database of like accounting firms who do municipal audits.
The state, you can go on the state, I forget the, there's I think a state auditor, and on their site, you can find all the municipalities audits. And you can just go through and see.
The Maine
who's.
Municipal Association
I
doesn't.
don't know the yes or no answer to that.
Okay.
I do know I've gone through the state site and looked at other towns or cities audits to see
Seen
who
it.
they've used.
Yeah.
RHR is a big one.
Where are they located?
Buxton, I think.
Well, here again, it's like the last thing we just voted on. These guys, we know these guys, so.
Yeah, I guess.
And they know us.
Yeah, the only reason I'm just poking a little bit is that, I don't know if you read this, the quality control report of financial, there's a deficiency noted in there by a peer review, and usually peer reviews are just like nothing. But the fact that somebody who's another accounting firm, and they do these peer reviews, actually felt the need to say something is just
But it was resolved, right?
It's not clear that it was.
Last paragraph, doesn't say.
So I mean, the issue they have is in that upfront process, from what I understand, is that engagement performance, engagement process. And so with us, I know they start that usually with the start of the new fiscal year. And it looked to me as I was reading that perhaps it was the documentation of that engagement process. Not enough testing was done to satisfy the low risk rating, was the big issue. And so, you know, by testing, I think I mean, what I understand it to mean is you give them a list of all of your cash receipts, you give them a list of all of your journal numbers, all of your accounts payable numbers, and they just pick at random receipts and such. That's part of the testing process. But I mean, it's a pretty, I don't know if we have an engagement letter here. You know, but it's a pretty sizable document in terms of all the stuff they look for from us and we have to provide to them.
Yeah.
So without diving in deeper to, or having asked them what this all really means, I didn't, having the town been working with them for 5 years, didn't think it was a huge risk to us per se, but
It probably isn't. We're probably pretty low risk. The fact that it was mentioned and it says in our opinion, except for the deficiency.
Yeah, but it's a couple of years ago too.
It was, but they're supposed to do these peer review things every few years, every 3 years or 5 years or more.
We've had good experience with them so far,
Yeah.
and I think that the staff likes working with. They work well with the staff.
they are very responsive, which is good.
Yeah,
And I know
that's
some
huge.
colleagues have a hard time with the responsiveness because again, there's fewer and fewer people doing
Right,
it
we've-
and
Yeah.
stretched thin, and they're all doing it with the same timeline. And a lot of these companies will do schools too.
Oh,
Schools are a little different because the school state statute says the school must be done by the end of, I believe, the calendar year. You can get extensions, and that's not ideal, but you can do that.
Yeah.
With the towns, you really should have it before your next town meeting. But there's no statute requiring it other than you have to do it. And so if they're delayed, it means kind of out of your control. But we're fortunate that we're on. I mean, we got it last year before we finished the warrant. Which is
Yes, we
good.
did.
Yeah.
That was, It's been later, I think.
Yeah, I think June it came out 1 year.
Yep. So. That sounds good. I'll, if all the same to you guys, I'll make a motion to, waive the charter bid procedure, section 510. And authorize the town manager to agree to 3 years of financial audit service with RHR Smith and Company as presented. Do I have a second?
Second. Oh, I'm sorry, she got. Go ahead.
Andrew, you taking the second?
Speak up.
All right,
Speak
throw
up.
your hand right up
Andrea's
there.
got
Yeah. All right, Andrew's gonna take the second on that one. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, motion carries, yep. Carrying on. All righty, anything else snuck in there, Andy?
That's it.
We're good. So we've, well, if we've been select, discussion items, we can start this and work our way down. Tom, anything?
Yeah. Well,
Evening.
I know with the discussions we had with our snow plowing contract, this is sort of sensitive, but I've heard that the problem we had in Westview apparently was more common around the area, and that was that some of the dirt roads that they plowed they might have gone too low and took up the roads. And I know I can speak for Westview that in years past, when they got to the turnaround, which is not paved, they would lift the plow up and just take off the surface snow and then go on. They did that for years. And then for some reason last year, they dropped the thing just when they got there and dug out a lot of the gravel. So we're paying to put more gravel down, but if that's a common thing, then maybe it'd be appropriate to bring it up when you're having your dialogue, although right now it's not probably a good time. That's what else?
Last year was a hard plowing year.
Yeah.
I can attest, and Josh does more than this, but
Oh, yeah.
they were quite challenging plowing.
It's like gardening,
Yeah,
road
There's
tilling a
cat-
garden.
Yeah.
you can only
No,
float
I-
the
yeah, I-
plow so much, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's very difficult. So we see that on there's a couple sections off of Back Meadow right at where Standpipe Road comes together there, and that was a hard spot, that corner, and there's a berm there, you could, but yeah, the driveways ended up like that. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that's it for me.
Well, Dan?
Other than I thought the meeting with Newcastle went well, and I think that could be the start of a more positive relationship with Newcastle going
Yeah.
forward. So
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. It was I think we all enjoyed it. It was a good, yeah. Once in a while, see what's going on in another town. So,
yeah, There's a lot of commonality
Yeah.
of interest there.
We tend to start, living in a bubble, but it's, share a lot.
And
so,
they were
yeah.
open to it,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
but that's really
A lot of
good.
Mutually beneficial stuff. Cool.
It's good to acknowledge the differences, but there's definitely a lot of areas that I think you guys, the two towns can be working together on some of these same challenges.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
hopefully that helps towards one of your goals at least. And I know that was to try and do more with them. So
That was good.
whether it's twice a year or quarterly, we can just figure out as we go, but
Start of a new relationship.
Well, I think
Andrea.
it's really positive too,
Yeah.
the two villages, we're right next to each other and we share water and
Mhm.
sewer, so water and sewer too. So estuary, so. No, I don't have anything.
Josh,
I'm good.
he's good?
I'm good.
All right. Yeah, I don't have really anything. Yeah, I'm good. I have nothing profound to add to this evening's meeting. I'm sorry to disappoint. So if there's no other board business, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Josh. Andrew, a second? All right, Andrew, seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. We have stuff to sign.